What's up, people? How you doing? God damn it. Fuck it, whatever. So, yo, what's good? It's your boy King Malcolm here, and decided today, I want to talk about welfare and government-assisted programs and how welfare is bad. And I'm gonna tell you why it's bad. Just like how I thought Brown versus Board of Education was bad, and I actually debated and won that in a mock debate and whatnot. But welfare. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that if you are on welfare, there means that it's not supposed to be a father in the family or in the household at that time, and it brings me to the reason why a lot of black men and women grow up without a father, because when you're put into the situation where you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're working 2 to 3 jobs, and as being a black person in America, we know how hard it is for there to be a job. With unemployment now, even though the national average is only hovering around 9%, the average unemployment for black people is at almost 15, if not 16%. Mind that sound, that's my tweet deck. But welfare. See, now people use welfare as a crutch, and I've noticed that when people get a crutch, they sometimes forget that you can actually walk on your own 2 feet. Now, I grew up in a family where my mother, my aunt, that's who I only have in my family, they grew up on welfare. And eventually my mother had me, we moved to the south side, and we weren't on welfare, but my mother was lucky enough to have gone to college, got her degree, went on to do nursing, and she's making her money, and I didn't have to deal with being on welfare and food stamps. See, when the government allows you to, what I basically call, leech off of public assistance, you often forget to learn how to live on your own. And with the absence of a black father in most communities, me included, I grew up with just a mother and aunt, even though I like to say sometimes my mom was the father and my aunt was the mother. But I've realized that welfare has destroyed the black community, along with the 80s and the crack epidemic, and a whole nursery rhyme, the penitentiary system as well. And I'll eventually talk about these, but let's just talk about welfare. Welfare. The media would let you think that welfare is only used by Hispanics and black people, but in reality, it is that Midwestern white family who uses up the most welfare in America. But they don't tell you that, because proportionately, even though there are more Caucasian people in America than black people, that black people make up the most percentage of welfare participants when it comes down to it. Now, if there was a limit to where welfare included having a father in a household, I guarantee you that most of these families would be able to dig themselves out of the poverty that they're in, even though the way the current financial situation that we in 2011 are looking at, the poor just keep getting poorer and the rich keep getting richer, while middle class is sitting there fighting to either become better than or worse than where they are now. I mean, growing up in the 90s, it felt good to be middle class, go to a nice school, have a car, things were affordable. But nowadays, it seems like the government is forcing the middle class into poverty, if that makes sense. And we're heading to a nation where we're only going to have the rich and the poor. Now, if you look back in history where there was no middle class, you saw great turmoil, which resulted in the fall of many governments and many dynasties. For example, look at England, look at France, Russia never really had a middle, poor, and rich class, but a lot of these Western European societies had these great collapses due to the lack of a middle class, or a middle class which wasn't supported in the right way. And it all goes back to welfare. If people would stop using welfare as this crutch, if people would actually try and look for a way out using education, which in its own mind is a completely different demon in itself, then maybe we can actually come back to an America where, or at least a black America, where the father was actually in the community and a part of the family, so that you have children like me and young adults like me, if you want to call me that, who knows what it feels like to be raised by both sides of the family, and allows there to be some structure within the household, because a lot of people aren't built for the single parent lifestyle. And the government programs and the social programs that we have in America do nothing for us in order to bridge the gap of social inequality, economic inequality, and household inequalities, which allow people like me to grow up without a father. And that's something that we need to change, and welfare is one of those things that we need to change, and people need to just stop using it in a negative fashion and use it for what it is, to get out of your situation that you're in and actually become something, be somebody. It's been real. It's your boy King Malcolm. Follow me on Twitter at _King Malcolm. Peace. Till next time.